Hello everyone, George Packard, Family Lawn and Landscape, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about employee theft for time-related issues, okay? So, time theft is something you don't think about all the time. You rarely think about it. And I want to bring it to your attention. I learned this actually back in the day when I worked for Kmart as a loss control manager. I worked for those guys. And that's kind of my big upbringing was watching for theft, this, that, and the other. And this was a big problem, and it still continues to be a big problem in every industry all the way around the board. So what I want to touch base on with you guys is fundamentally how it affects your business. So if you're in the lawn care business or you're in the landscape business, employees that steal time from you are just as bad as an employee, in my eyes, that takes a $100 bill off the table right in front of you. To me, they're just as bad. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. So, or how this happens, what the structure is on this. Okay, so examples. Let's just say that they're late to work. Let's start out with a typical day, and you have some employees that are late to work all the time. Okay, and it's always someone or another. It may not be the same guy every time. It might be Johnny 2 days out of the week, and Fred 3 days out of the week, and Cal 4 days out of the week. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but every time that employee is late, and let's say that your truck has to go out and you have 4 guys in that truck, there's always somebody late, which means you're paying all those guys to sit around that truck and wait for that guy to get there. And if it's not Johnny, it's Cal. If it's not him, it's somebody else, and it's an ongoing situation. You're paying all the rest of those guys to be there waiting to get in that truck to get down the road. So that's the first thing. That's how they take advantage of you, okay? Second thing, the excessive breaks that they take. You'll see this more and more with your bigger companies where you have multiple trucks on the road. It seems like, obviously, you just multiply your problems, you know. A lot of you guys know I talk a lot about the employees because I want people that are growing their businesses to understand what's going to happen to you and give you ideas on how you can combat those situations, how you can stop it, you can detour it, things you need to watch for, and why it's important to you. So you may not think it's a big deal, these guys taking excessive breaks. It is a big deal. Let's say in one day they shave an hour off your day, and it's not hard to do. Not hard to do. Being late to work, coming in, taking excessive breaks, okay? Especially if you're not around to watch them. They will do it, believe me. They leave early. How many times have you had employees leave early? For one thing or another, they had something come up that they had to do, especially if you salary these employees. We've had that happen quite often. Leaving early from the work, the salaried, especially those guys. The call-in days that come from these guys is ridiculous. So what you'll notice once you salary guys into work, all of a sudden, they're going to make sure, A, they get a minimum of 2 days off a week, absolutely. And more than likely, they're going to get 3 days off a week is what they shoot for, okay? They feel a lot better about themselves if they can screw you out of an extra day's pay. And believe me, they do, okay? So, or let's just say they work slow as hell. You know, that's the interesting thing. When the boss is there, they're always working. You know, I shouldn't even say always. You would not believe how many times I've been on the job site, walk around the building and just stop and peek my head back around and look at them and see what these guys are doing, and they stop. Or when you're walking around the building, let's say you're all picking up trash, and you're walking towards them, okay? All of a sudden they see you, and they're kind of like this. They're just like, you know, dicking around, slow as frickin' molasses in July. These guys are in February, actually, colder yet. So these guys all of a sudden see you, oh, and that pace picks right up, and holy Christ, they can't move fast enough. Those guys are a joke, but they're robbing you. They're robbing you, you guys. No one thinks of time theft, and you need to think of it. They're robbing you from all the things I said, you know, not being to work on time, from long breaks, excessive breaks, working slow as hell. You know, when these guys do that, they could get twice as much done if you were standing right there with a cattle prod holding it up to their ass. They'd get twice as much done, you know what? But that's what people do. This is how they burn you, okay? When we had everybody on the time cards, you know what they would do, what we caught them doing? They would punch each other's time card all the time. They would do this. They're constantly punching each other in and out. We had guys that didn't even show up for work, that their buddies were punching their cards, and they went off to work. And, you know, when you have multiple crews going, especially when we were bidding a lot of major projects, so the managers and I were always together working on these big major projects, and we were finding out, that's when we found out this one guy was punching the other guy's card, and he was missing 2-3 days a week. So some guys ended up ratting him out. What did I have to do? I had to put a camera system over the top of the frickin' time card. Because these guys will find a way to screw you every time you turn around. For lack of the F word, which I don't want to use because I have calmed myself and I don't use that anymore as much as possible. So, anyway, like I said earlier, I would much rather they took $100 off the table right in front of me than to rob me by coming in late, excessive breaks, working slow as hell. The bottom line is it still affects you. Why does it affect you? So imagine that you have, say you're paying your guys $10 an hour, okay? And you have one guy working for you. So for an hour a day, he manages to screw off, okay? And that's easy, especially if you work slow, okay? So that's $10 a day he robbed you of, okay? Now, take that times a week, okay? And the guy's there 5 days out of the week. Well, that's $50 he just stole from you. Now take that $50 times the 4 guys that are in that truck. That's $200 a week. How many trucks do you have on the road? Okay? Times that times all the trucks that you have on the road. Look at the money that they are taking from you every single day. And the bigger you get, the worse this gets. Can you see how that multiplies? And if you don't think it's a big deal in your business, it is a big deal because think about this. If you put a couple guys on a project, they're out there working on it, and you expect them to get done that day because you have another project you want to start the next day, but you come back and hardly anything was done, okay? They've cost you time because now instead of you getting to that next project where you can make more money, now you got to screw around and go back there because those assholes never did the work you paid them to do. You paid them and now you're going to pay them twice. You're going to pay them to come back and do it again. So you really got to stay on top of this stuff. Time theft is a huge deal. You guys need to pay attention to it. Thanks for watching. George Packard, Family Lawn and Landscape. Check out our websites down below where we archive all of our videos. And again, thanks for watching.